Hello, we're going to be working on building a shape pendant today. So first of all, click on File, click on New, and we're going to be clicking on the mobile icon. We're just going to change this to Shape. I'm going to change the units to millimeters, and I'm going to change this to 200 and the height to 200 as well. We'll stick with RGB color here for the laser cutter. So click on Create, and we'll build our artboard. Once we're here, we're going to, you can see here's the rectangle tool. We're going to right click the rectangle tool, and we're going to go down to the polygon tool. So click that once, and if you click and pull, a polygon will be brought out. Now, if you click the up and down arrow, you can see that will alter the type of polygon that we'll be using. So we're just going to pull out again. I'm just going to click the down arrow until I get to the triangle. So there we go. I'm going to hold down Shift, and Shift will just kind of lock it into place. So just hold down Shift and lock it into place like that. And then I'm just going to release my left mouse button, and there we go. We have our shape ready to go. Okay, now I'm a bit far away from it, so I'm just going to click on the hand tool, bring myself up a little closer. And then I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key. I'm going to click back on the selection tool. I'm going to hit the Alt key, and I'm just going to zoom in using my mouse scroll wheel. So I'm holding down Alt on the keyboard, and I'm just zooming in and out. Okay, so there we go. Now we're going to look at creating you can see the shape we're going to be working on right here is this shape right here. So I'm going to stretch this triangle out a bit. So what I'm going to do is make sure I'm on the this selection tool right here, and then I'm just going to go on the side until those double arrows appear. I'm just going to pull out to kind of extend the shape out a bit. Next thing I want to do is I want to basically create another triangle on top of this one. So rather than just copy it, I actually want to copy it in place, so it's right on top of it. So to do that, I'm going to go up to Edit. I'm going to go to Copy, and then I'm going to go to Edit, and I'm going to go Paste in place, or paste in front. That's even better. Okay, now if I drag it this way, you can see there's my other shape. So I'm going to hit Control Z just to back up to where I was. Now I actually want to alter the shape a bit, so I'm going to use this tool right here, the Direct Selection tool. And I'm just going to click on the white, so click off over here anywhere. And I'm just going to go down to the corner until I see an anchor icon appear. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm just going to drag it this way. And on the bottom, it should snap with that purple line right there. I'm just going to pull it to about right there. Now, if that purple line is not appearing up under View, you want to make sure that Smart Guides and Snap to Pixel are on. Smart Guides are going to be those purple lines that you see. So if those aren't on, you want to turn them on now. Okay, so essentially what I want to do is I want to fill this in with a black. You can see, let's try and pull this over here with a black there. So I am going to make sure I've clicked on my shape, and this is a light blue outline around it. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to make sure I click on the fill. I'm going to double click it, and I'm just going to drag this all the way down to black. So it's black right there. I click OK, and that will fill my triangle in. Now I have a bit of an issue up here. It's kind of poking out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Alt. See the little plus sign appears, and I'm just going to use my mouse wheel. I'm going to scroll into that point. Now I'm still on my Direct Selection tool. I'm going to click on that little white point, and then a little circle will appear below it. If you click on the circle and drag down, you can actually alter, round out that point a bit. So I'm going to do about there, and that's good enough for what I want to do. So I'm going to hold down Alt again. I'm just going to zoom out using my mouse scroll wheel, and I can click on the hand, and I can kind of move down a little bit. I'm going to zoom out a little bit farther. Now, what I want to do next is, as you can see here, I want to create a rectangle below this. So I'm going to go back to this tool here, and I'm going to right click it, and I'm going to use the rectangle tool this time. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of come up to a point here, and I'm going to zoom in to do this. I'm going to hold down Alt again. I'm going to come in a little bit closer. You can use the hand tool and pull over. And I'm going to kind of hover over the corner until it says, it's going to say, this one says align 45, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to hover over here and drag it over till I reach a point, and that purple snap will appear again, and then I'm just going to release. So we've got our rectangle down here. Now it's black inside. We don't want the fill to be black, so again, click on your fill tool, and this time we're going to go to no fill. And you can see the stroke, or this little box here, is black, but the fill has nothing inside of it. So perfect. So I'm just going to zoom out a tiny bit using the Alt key again. I'm just using my mouse wheel to scroll up and down. Now I want to duplicate this and put it on the bottom essentially. Go back to our image right there. So to do that, I'm going to go to my selection tool. I'm going to put a bounding box just by clicking and highlighting that. So it's highlighted those two triangles there. Now I'm going to go up to the top here, and I'm going to go under transform, and I'm going to go to reflect, the reflect tool right here. Click that once, and you can see it flips my piece around. So you have different things you can do, vertical, horizontal. So I'm going to preview that. Now I want it to flip, and I'm going to click copy. So copy will just create a copy of it on top of it. And now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my arrow key, and I'm going to go all push down until it lines up perfectly with the bottom, like that, about right there. Now if you want a really fine tuning, you can unclick this little magnet icon, and when you move up and down now, it's like very fine. You can barely even see it move, but it is moving. It's just very, very fine. It's not snapping to the pixels anymore, but I'm going to leave that on. Now I've got most of it ready to go. You can see maybe it's a bit off the corner there, but that's not going to make too much of a difference. I could pull this in just a tiny bit, maybe like that. Maybe that's too far now, so I'm going to uncheck that, and I'm just going to bring this out just a wee bit right there. Oh, I've now brought it out too far. Maybe about there. Okay, I'm not going to mess around with that too much. Now inside the center part here, I'm going to put some writing. So to do that, I'm just going to click on the T, the text tool. I'm going to click once in this space, and you can see it just gives a basic, just a placeholder. To change this, I'm going to go up to my window. I'm going to go down to type, and I'm going to click on character right here. And you can see the whole character type bar pops up right here. So I'm going to change it to, I don't know, let's just say that style right there. I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to change the point to 48, maybe even bigger, 60. Okay. Once I've got those done, I'm going to click back on my selection tool. I'm just going to drag this down and stick it in the center. Now I can drag this out, make it bigger. And I can double click it. I'm just going to type construction. Just barely fits inside of it. Move it over a little bit using my arrow keys. And there we go. One final thing, a couple of final things you want to do before you laser cut this is you want to right click on your writing here, and you want to click create outlines, and that will turn it into a vector. So you can see you can actually individually grab each one. That's going to be important when you bring it over. The next thing you want to do to actually cut this out, because the laser will have to cut around the edges, is you can use a couple different tools. Maybe we'll use a line segment tool. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to click here. Oops, actually I'm not going to click. I'm just going to click and hold and drag up to about here. There we go. I'm just going to move over a little bit. I just clicked on my space bar there. And I'm going to grab another one from about here, pull it all the way up, connect to that one. You see we've got two now. And I'm just going to kind of go around, and I'm going to connect, and that one was a little bit far off. So connect all these different points here. So I'm going to go from here to here, Go down a little bit, go all the way down from the bottom here, connect to that point there, all the way over here, connect down to this point here, and from here to here, I'm just going to connect right there. Now, this isn't the most accurate way to do it, but around the outside, I basically want to cut this piece out. So I have to have lines around the edges. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click here. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to click. Sorry, click on my first line there, this one here. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to hold down Shift and click here. Hold down Shift. I'm holding down Shift the whole time now. I'm just clicking around the edges. And essentially, these are what are going to cut my pendant out. So two things, they have to be red. So I'm going to double click on the stroke here. This is the stroke, and I'm going to have to drag it right up to red in the corner. And red is 255, 0, 0. Red has to be 255, and these two have to be 0 and 0. So I'm going to click OK. And the second thing I need to do, this has to be a very thin line. So I'm going to go up to Window. I'm going to go down to Stroke. And the weight of the stroke has to be decimal 001 for the laser to cut it. Just hit Enter. And there we go. It's all set to cut on the laser. Now, you can barely see them, but they're actually there. They're all around the edges. So the laser will cut those out, and it will etch this part. Now, one more thing, if you want to put a hole through the center right here, that's really easy to do. You just right-click here, go down to Ellipse tool, click that once, make the hole, just drag out to the size you want it. I'm going to say like that big. I'm going to click back on my selection tool. I'm just going to drag it up to where I want that hole to be. Same thing, the stroke has to be red, so it has to be 255, 0, 0, and the stroke has to be 001. Now remember, if you can't see this up here, you can always click on Window and go down to the stroke tool right here, and you can change the stroke right here. Okay, it's all set to go, and that's our first one done.